All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I'm going to go over a little bit of information, have some clips in the video as well in order to further the point so people can get a full-fledged understanding of what it is that I'm trying to convey, and so that, people can keep up. Right. So again, let me know what you guys think about the video in the comment description at any point in time in the video. And again, thank you for taking the time out and watching. So before we get started, I just want to bring up a healthy reminder of a previous election where it is that black men were blamed for the reason why a black woman was not able to get directly in office. And I go as quoted, "If black men vote for me, I will win Georgia." And I replied, "So if black men don't vote for her, she and others will blame them." And that's exactly what took place. That is exactly what happened. Not only did you have people on Twitter and IG going out on whatever limb or Stretch Armstrong type of theory to blame black men, but you also had black women that had seats directly on national syndicated television shows, outwardly blaming black men for the reason why it is that black women were not having a seat directly at the table.
Enthusiasm for my opponent. We know that black voters are often discounted, and unfortunately this year black men have been a very targeted population for misinformation. Not misinformation about what they want, but about why they want what they deserve. And my campaign has been the only one that has very intentionally, thoughtfully, and consistently reached out. That has been misconstrued as concern when it indeed is just respect.
So just as a reminder, this is what the polls looked like in Georgia. And you can clearly see the percentages of who voted for Abrams, who voted for Kemp, who voted for Hazel. And even with black men voting overwhelmingly for Stacey Abrams, at the end of the day, black men were still to blame for the reason why it is that she lost. And again, other people wanted to get on social media and blame black men for her loss, and then the other losses that started taking and transpiring with other black women who were seeking a seat at the government table.
Shh. Yeah. Damn. Bitch, you guessed it.
For candidacy, I don't get it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm here to help you get it. Number one, over 40 million people have already voted. Georgia has had record turnout. They would have you believe that no black men at all have voted, and that's just simply not true. So rather than saying, I blame you, how about they say, I will do better? Blaming black voters or blaming black men is no different than blaming the person that got cheated on in the relationship. Perhaps if you just cooked more, I wouldn't have cheated. At the end of the day, it is about who is trying to engage these voters and if they failed. And I want to give you this example. Just bear with me quickly. David Axelrod, a white man, a top Democrat, Obama's go-to person, said the other day very clearly that Democrats have failed in their economic message. Nobody is saying that he's spreading misinformation. He said that they are not reaching out the way that they should. Hillary Rosen also said the same thing, which is a top Democrat strategist. No one is telling them, oh, well, you're just spreading misinformation or you don't know what you're doing. And I have to say this to progressives as well. They also do this racist trope, and they call it misinformed voters, low education, low information voters when they don't get their way. It is basically a racist trope that says that black men are lazy, that they're not involved, and it is flat out a lie. And let's talk about targeting voters. Stacey Abrams said they're being targeted for misinformation. Well, guess who's being targeted for actual engagement? The Hispanic community by the GOP has strategically been targeted with over 30 plus diversity centers, with over 20 plus strategically in Latino communities, brick and mortar, that says, hey, come on in. We want to tell you about the Republican Party. And so the response to that from Democrats was, hey, well, we're doing advertisement. So rather than blaming black men, why don't you ask the Democrat Party, why is it that they have not engaged black men or black women, because we do vote together, by the way, and talk about an economic policy that we would adhere to? And so it's a lie. It is a racist trope. It is something that is designed to blame and beat black men with a public scolding when they don't get their damn way. And it has to stop. And I also blame these black pundits who are running with this as well. Misinformation is very strategic. They're not confused. You know, black men, I just went to a reparations rally on Saturday. Thousands of people showed up, more so black men. And they showed up with less than a 2-week notice, with no rapper as a headline, with no political party that pushed it, with no political official that pushed it, with less than 2 weeks, Bree. I've seen political elected officials that can't get 50 people in the room at best. So black men are engaged, but they may not be engaged and they may not be feeling you. The first thing is actually dating somebody, then engaging, and then asking them to get married. Black men are engaged. They just ain't feeling you.
Now, I want to state this, and as I've stated to you guys before, I like to give credit where credit is due. When you have people that want to go out on a limb and they want to defend, they want to come up front and center and do something that no one is realistically asking them to do. And that black woman there did the whole thing. She stood there. She stated her points brilliantly. She had a multitude of points to back up what it is that she needed to state. And she defended black men tooth and nail and told people like, hey, don't you dare decide that you want to blame black men when they did come out in droves in order to vote. It is not their fault for the reason why it is that you lost. And she was telling other people, don't go out there and do that because you are going to misinform a lot of individuals out there and you're going to mislead them. And as I've told people countless times, when it deals with a lot of information out there, some of the most easiest people to mislead are black women, because all you have to do is say that a black man is at fault and you will have fields of black women for whatever reason, from whatever past experiences that they've had, deciding that, oh yeah, let me jump on a bandwagon. I know a black man is to blame because of the experiences and the things that I went through in my life and yada, 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 but not understanding that you have people out here on the political landscape that understand that you have some type of emotional baggage, that you have some type of trauma, you have some type of resentment, that you have a type of loathing when it deals with black men. And they're going to use that as a weapon and weaponize it and hand it to you so that you can point it directly at who it is that you have the utmost animosity towards. And not only are they using that weapon and giving it to black women, but they're also delivering that same weapon and giving it to other people. So this is where it brings us to social media, and this is a few. And again, I'm telling you that there are hundreds of thousands of comments just like this, if not worse, on social media, from IG to Twitter to TikTok to YouTube, wherever it is that you happen to take in social media. And you will have people say things like this. Y'all worried if white liberal women will vote for Kamala, but who we really need to keep our eyes on are black men. Another one, I truly believe that most WWs have learned their lesson and would do right by Kamala. It's the black men we have to worry about. Another person said, y'all going to jump me if I say that the biggest demographic I am worried about is straight black men. I genuinely believe that they rather risk it with Trump than allow a black woman like Kamala to represent this country. Another person, I actually don't care that Kamala locked your daddy up in jail. He probably deserved it. Another person, white women aren't the only ones who aren't going to vote for Kamala. Are we forgetting that straight black men want to be white? Another person, our biggest vulnerabilities will be straight black men and white women. Hillary just endorsed Kamala, but there will still be holdover. White women will with negative emotions about Kamala being the first woman president and not Hillary.
You know, it's interesting because we were talking about this during the break. I mean, this is the Javier Milei election, right? I mean, and then in Argentina, that's how that went, which is that you had this coalition of, and not to be cruel, but, it was described as sort of an incel election. It was the young, angry men of Argentina who, they wanted a macho candidate. And it went along with policies like banning abortion, banning birth control, and, the idea of no-fault divorce. It all kind of goes together that you've seen this kind of election before. You see the same thing in Hungary. Like, the Orbanism of the party it's rooted in returning white Christian men, but also white men and white adjacent men, black men, brown men who are white adjacent in terms of trying to also be in that dominant position in society. And then you have women who are willing to go along with that, right? There are a certain number of women who are also willing, the trad wife sort of.
So I understand and know that people need something to believe in, but again, people have to be smarter. People need not to allow their emotions to be used directly against them as the weapons or the weapons that they have always been used as. Clear cut in front of us, we can see this information. In 2016, it stated that California's Kamala Harris becomes the first Indian American United States Senator. Then in 2020, it states that Biden picks Kamala Harris as running mate, first black woman. So in 2016, she was the first Indian American United States Senator. And then in 2020, out of nowhere, she became black. But just in case you don't understand or, know what it is that I'm referring to, let me give you this.
Yeah, well, the Democratic Party for a very long time, not just this election cycle, has been doing a lot of active outreach around the South Asians, around the API in general, and will continue to do it. I mean, what we know in particular when you're talking about the South Asian community, we're talking about the Indian community more specifically, it is a growing community in the United States in terms of its voting bloc, in terms of its participation, and I think the party knows that and knows that this is part of our collective community, and there needs to be outreach and inclusion.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
You could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good.
And can I just say, for black women, this has been really a proving moment for their political strength in carrying Joe Biden to the Democratic nomination through the primary. Black women did that. And I think seeing a black woman on the ticket with Joe Biden on the cusp of this moment, I think is something that will go down in history because this has never happened before. And not only would black women put Joe Biden in the White House, but they would also put a black woman in the White House as well.
So again, I understand that you have a lot of people that want to specifically have a belief or they want to see something, right, that they may never get a chance to actually see. So let's go to some of the comments. Some people stated, I do not believe in other people's ability to listen to black women. Another one said, I'll have to catch up with the hashtag BB26 later. I'm on the hashtag Win with Black Women call with 7,000 black women with 25,000 more trying to get in. We are mobilizing, praying, and organizing for Kamala, for democracy, like our ancestors did. Thank you for your hard work. Another person said, black women coming to save y'all ungrateful selves again. Kamala 2024. Another person had this information. $1 million was raised for Kamala Harris in less than 3 hours during the Win with Black Women Zoom call, organizers stated. Another person stated back in 2020, I just cried through every single second of Kamala's speech. This moment in history is so inspiring. Women, black women, all women of color, this moment is for us. Another person, 2020, Abby Phillips, stated it best about the role of black women in this election and more importantly, VP-elect Kamala Harris. Quote, not only would black women put Joe Biden in the White House, but they would also put a black woman in the White House as well. So again, I'm stating that I understand, and I also want people to understand this again, especially to the black women out there. The moment in time that you just so happen to vote for whoever that you decide to vote for, people are going to look at you for the decision that you decided to make. Before, they stated that black women are the reason that Biden and Kamala Harris even got into office. Even Biden himself, as soon as he realized that he won, he thanked black women for what it is that they were able to do. Many deals of black women came out all across the United States and said that they were the ones that made this all possible. So again, to the black women out there, let's refrain from trying to put a blame on black men. Because as I've previously showed before, when it dealt with Stacey Abrams, overwhelmingly the greater majority of black men came out and they voted for her. But even with that proof, you still had women on social media. You still had women that have large platforms. I'm talking about where they have millions upon millions upon millions of eyes directly on them every day. And they came out and they wanted to specifically put the blame and push the blame on black men for the reason why it is that a black woman did not get a seat in office, did not get reelected again. And all of the information was false when you look directly at the stats. So again, a lot of people state that they're tired of the divisive nature of information out there going in between black men and black women. So let's try by starting here. You have a lot of people starting early at this moment in time with the blame black men for the reason why such and such and such is not going to happen, or such and such is going to happen. Let's try to refrain from that and let the chips fall where they may.